Liturgy 93696, album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spitting, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Liturgy. Liturgy is a black metal project, specifically in the experimental black metal range, fronted by the awesome Caela Hunt Hendricks, who ever since their debut, Annihilation, have been cult favorites of mine. I grew up on black metal. I have since day one, especially the weirder side of black metal. And hearing Liturgy put out an album like Annihilation back in the day was invigorating. And hearing Liturgy on this album take from the past of black metal, bring in the epic nature of it, as well as the animalistic nature of it, and just bring it all together with a sense of regality, alongside an experimental edge, some elements of drone, and the Avant-Garde. It was exciting for me. And they followed it up with the Aesthetica album, which to this day, blows my mind. It blew my mind at the time, but now it's just whew. And by the time the Arc Work album came out, I genuinely think it would be a disservice to the band to call them just another black metal project. This album was a wild trip of an album featuring MIDI trumpets, a whole lot of synthesizers, and my god, the glitchiest production you'll ever hear on a black metal record, but somehow this all came together and really worked. And the Hack Project, which I, honest to god, did not even know came out the year that it did, I didn't realize it came out for about 6 months after, has to this day become one of my favorite Liturgy projects. It is the perfect blend of neoclassical, thunderous black metal, and so much more. Now, the last time we heard from them a few years ago was with Origins of the Alimonies, and I enjoyed it for what it's worth. I did think it was a solid project with some great tunes, but at the end of the day, this to me seemed like a likable, I don't know, almost like epilogue to the Hack album that came out a year earlier. And I thought that project was 1,000 times better, which is fine on paper. There was great material on there, but I wanted Liturgy to take the next leap. And leading up to this album, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought the singles were a little hit and miss, and we will chat about this thing. I don't know what's in the water these days, but we are getting some long albums, folks. This thing is an hour and 27 minutes. Let's chat about it. Early on the album with Djennaration, I am instantly right at home. This track is the perfect example of how Liturgy continues to just push every extreme they possibly can. The clashing instrumental, the jarring guitars that we get here, the lavish sense to everything here. It's awesome. It's crushing and chaotic for sure, but it's also beautiful at times. And listen, it's not going to be for everyone. There is some heady stuff on here. There's some heady stuff throughout this whole album, and if you listen to other Liturgy projects, you're probably aware they get pretty damn heady at times too. But it's also symphonic as hell. Hendrix brings in some subtle beats as well as some backing vocals. It's a great track. I mean, is it excess? You can be the judge of that, but if you show up to a Liturgy project for the wildest black metal and some of the most avant-garde black metal that you're going to hear, you're going to love this. Caela is also really, really good. I mean, just the grandiosity and the sense of regality in their music is still a major selling point. The tension on this track is so good. I mean, that strummed guitar or that strummed banjo or whatever it is, it's money, and it makes this track incredibly tense. And following this tension, we get 4 straight minutes of glorious release, and it is fantastic. Whether it be a chaotic drum fill or a guitar breakdown, this is just beautiful stuff. And Angel of Sovereignty, this is the kind of interlude from Liturgy that I just can't help but go gaga over. It's transcendent. It is immaculately produced. It adds to the energy of this album. My God, it's good. Before I knew the truth, it gave me a lot of hope for this album. It made me remember that, it's probably business as normal. It is a thunderous, explosive black metal tune that brings everything to the table in Liturgy's catalog. The spiraling guitars, the abrasive vocals, this larger-than-life feeling. It's all here. It's the kind of experimental, weirdo black metal jam that just scratches so many itches, and it might be the best track here. And the neoclassical pianos that we get in the final moments are icing on the cake. An Angel of Hierarchy, this is what I show up for. And I know that's odd, but come on, I love hearing Liturgy branch out into the experimental, the neoclassical, and that's what we get here. It's beautiful. It's meditative. It gets me just in the zone, and I just love it. I'd love to hear, honestly, maybe not a full album, but maybe like a short album of just more material like this, in this vein. But oh boy, this album's really long, and listen, I'm not opposed to a long album, but for me, this does not add up to the last almost all of the releases from Liturgy at the end of the day. Daily Bread, it's an interesting intro to this album. We get some chants and a desolate atmosphere, and the thing is, it's very effective. Effective enough for the whole track, though? No, it just kind of gets obnoxious by the end of it. And we get some monstrous tracks on this album. Halogen 2, early on the album. This track's a 9-minute monster, which I am not opposed to. No way. This ain't it, though. The production here is far from my favorite, especially the guitar tones. Why do they sound so muddy and bleh? But it's more than just that. This track as a whole seems sloppy. The pacing seems a little too off kilter. And listen, the music of Liturgy, it is some heady, chaotic stuff. It has been since their debut so many years ago. But this is one of the very few moments over the last few years where I just want to take the band and yell at them to slow down. And the low-key verses and the whispered vocals, they're not helping either. It's just a 9-minute track that's not nearly as adventurous as I hoped it would be. And, you know, we get there. The final 2 minutes are awesome, but it just took so much to get there. Red Crown 2? Meh, I say. This is the kind of interlude that I've never really been into from them. It just kind of gets you off the beaten path and doesn't really complete any thoughts whatsoever. An Angel of Emancipation, it's not the worst sin committed here, but it's also painfully middle of the road. At this point in the album, we did not need another instrumental interlude. I mean, it's not bad. It actually acts as a fairly nice breather of a track, but we didn't need it here. And it just, I don't know, it got me off track. They have much better interludes. Trust me on that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 10 tracks in, and we have 40 minutes of material to cover. But it's not all bad. Take, for example, Ananon. This track is unbelievable. The chanted intro, the crushing guitars, the tension. It is exhilarating and just what I want to hear from Liturgy. There is such a sense of urgency to this track on every level. I think it's the best track here. It's explosive, it's epic, it's gaudy, it's in your face. It's super vicious, the production is on point, and in the best way possible. This track is all about tension and release. We get a couple of minutes of pure tension and 3 straight minutes of release, and it sounds so good. Which leads me to 93696, the first of this album's 2 15-minute monsters. And I'm going to be honest with you. Since it dropped as a single, it hasn't been for me. This, in my book, is quantity over quality. Even in the first opening minutes of this track, I just feel like everything just sounds a little sloppy. And that's all before these chugging, practically nu metal sounding guitars come crashing in. The breakdown, the drama, the tension here, it's very wishy-washy for the entire 15 minutes. As a whole, there are some actually decent ideas here, but this thing should have been split into 3 tracks, not a 15-minute slogfest. And the drama and the regality of the final 2 minutes is incredible, but it took us so long to get there. Halogen 2, the reprise that we get here, it's once again not the worst sin that this album commits. It's fine as an interlude, but right now, I'm exhausted, and we still have a lot of material to chat about. It's not a terrible interlude, though. It actually gets pretty classy. Angel of Individuation, though, this track is special. I hear this, and I'm actually blown away. This is a truly immaculate, unbelievably coordinated piece of neoclassical. Experimental as well, but it's so gorgeous that it brings a tear to my eye. It's moments like this that remind me of just what Liturgy can do. It's immaculate. And Antigone, too. The second 15-minute track on this album, for a change, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. This, to me, hits the spot. This track starts up, and there is zero bullshit in sight. This thing starts off, gets grimy and gnarly all right immediately. These soaring guitars take off. The drama comes in. The epicness. Yeah, it's great, and unlike this album's title track, with each passing moment and movement, I'm excited to hear what I hear next. Even the more pensive, low-key verses on this 15-minute track do so much more justice to the band's sound. It is done so well in every way. This is what I showed up for, and this has a sense of finality to it. It is golden. And while maybe not necessary, Immortal Life 2 is a really nice little epilogue. It's light, it's got a sense of spirituality to it. It almost reminds me of like some 70s Mike Oldfield. But it does what it's supposed to do, and it finalizes every thought of this album. This album, I mean, I thought I was going to like it a lot more just because of the role that Liturgy's been on. And I saw that timestamp, that hour and 27-minute timestamp, and I did start to worry. And there are some things about this album that do worry me. There's a lot of tracks on this album that seem to me like quantity over quality, trying to cram so many ideas into monstrous tracks that just should have been 3 different tracks, because the ideas are here. This album, though, is exhausting. It's long, and I don't think at the end of the day it really leads up to a cohesive thought, which is not what I'm used to saying. And listen, this band has made heady material like this but chopped it in half, put out a 45-minute or an hour album, and had a much more complete thought at the end of the day, and I don't get that feeling here. There's great material on here. There's crap material on here. Liturgy's still a band to watch, and you might like this album a whole lot more than me. But for now, I'm feeling a strong 6 on this album. But let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.